What's up, everybody, and welcome to a special episode of Retro Rogues Perspective. As I am here today, joined with a good friend of mine, and we are going to deep dive and get into a discussion about Black Panther: Wakanda Forever. This was an incredible film, and I think it deserves a real discussion, not just me yelling at a camera. So I invited my friend John to join us today, and we're going to talk about all the things that we loved about the movie, the things that we didn't love about the movie, and how it made us feel uh, from an individual level to a cultural level. The representation in what it brings to both cultures. John, what's up, bro?
Hey, what's good, man? Thank you so much for having me here.
Yeah, man, anytime, my dude, anytime. So you went to go see the movie opening night.
Yes, not opening night. I actually watched about two nights ago,
Thursday night.
Thursday night. Yeah,
Same here.
and
I went to a Thursday night showing.
nice. Yeah, it was actually something I was looking forward to. The main reason why it was actually because of the two different types of casts that they had. They had the African American cast and the Latino cast that we had, which it was very new, which I love seeing in a superhero movie, right? Just being able to see the different perspectives and the different cultures that were kind of mixed into the movie, and they were very present in the two different cities. And also, Tenoch Huerta, the main character, Namor,
Oh man,
he's just,
I can't say that man's name to save my life. I felt so bad. I did an earlier ranting video, and I was just like, I'm not even going to attempt to say his name because I don't want to mess it up.
yeah, he was actually pretty good. I think he fit the role pretty well as like Namor. Really good representation, I would say.
Uh, I, I, uh, I keep, I often forget that Lapita Nango, how do you say her last name? Lapita
Lupita,
Nango, I think.
oh, Nyong'o.
Yeah, Nyong'o. She's
Yeah,
she's Hispanic. She's Mexican.
yeah. Her parents, yeah, they actually raised her, and she was born in Mexico, and she grew
Yeah.
up in Mexico City. My wife, she actually told me about that. I didn't even know about that when she started speaking Spanish. I was like, say what?
Right, and like
Like,
super fluent, like no American bullshit accent, like
no, man, not at
native
all.
as fuck. Native as fuck.
She made my Spanish seem like it was like pretty trash. I'm not gonna lie.
Her French too. I'm like Jesus, that, and she speaks all these languages. Like in real life, the woman is just just. I had a hard time listening to her because she's just so damn beautiful. Just her on the screen is just, oh my heart stands still. But Nakia, her storyline was incredible. Uh, but we're getting ahead of ourselves. Let's start. I like to start with the man. I like to start with the guy that everybody's talking about, whether it be positive or negative. Man, let's talk about the Submariner. Let's talk about Namor. Let's talk about Tokukan. Let's talk. Let's. I love where they went with him. I get that a lot of people are like, well, he's not the Namor from the comic books, man. No, he's not, and thank God he isn't. Because first off, if you think this Namor is an asshole, you would hate the Namor from the comic books because he's an uber douche. Like he like in a lot of ways, there's not a lot of redeemable qualities about comic book Namor. I mean, there are a few, but not many.
Right.
Whereas MCU's Namor is more grounded and you understand where he's coming. Like the best villains are the ones you can relate to. This is what made Killmonger a great villain. It's what made Loki a great villain. Is they
Thanos.
they put you
Thanos.
in. Yeah, they put you in a place where you get it. It's like you don't agree with their tactics. They could do shit a little different, but you get it. You understand it.
It's
Uh,
logical for sure.
right. So like to this, but I love the for the MCU. I like how they did him. I like the way he's written for this world, for this universe of the Marvel universes, the multiverse that exists. Uh, I don't take credence with a lot of changes because in my rant I spoke about the same cats who are complaining about the changes they made to Namor are probably the same people who love M'Baku and who love the Queen Mother Ramonda. But in the comic books, like their comic book counterparts are nothing
Nothing like them.
like them in the movies. Ramonda's a villain. She's not even his mother in the comic book. She's his stepmother who has been trying to kill him and usurp the throne forever through shady means. And M'Baku has just been openly just trying to whoop his ass and take his throne.
Yeah.
And every once in a while they'll reluctantly work together because just like in the movies, they do both love Wakanda at the end of the day,
Yeah.
and they both will work together for that. But like the way I'm just saying, the way they are written in the comics versus the way they are
In the MCU.
in the MCU, mad different, mad different. And I just don't get these people's. How can you pick and choose what canon in the IP is okay to change and what canon in the IP isn't? What character it is okay to change and what like if you're going to be upset if them changing this from the comic, you gotta be upset at all of it, man. And if that's the case, then you haven't enjoyed a Marvel movie ever.
Basically. It's nothing like the comics if you really
No,
think about it.
and I don't want it to be. I mean, let's be real. People always talk. There's two great complaints when it comes to film. Either shit is changed too much from the original source material, or it's more of the same. Do you see the problem with that?
It could be predictable or just entirely different, I think.
Yeah. But do you see the problem with that? It means you're never going to make everybody happy.
No, no one's gonna be happy.
If you do something new and different, there's going to be a side of people that's like, "Why you got to change stuff? The way it was is fine." And then you're going to have, on the other hand, if you keep the formula the same and you stay in your lane and you don't make big changes and you give people more of the same of what they've been getting, you're going to have that group that's like, "Why are you giving us the same stuff? Why can't you be innovative and do something different and give us something different?" You see what I'm saying? It's like that's always going to be the case online, and I think it's funny that people like get bogged down to that. They get bogged down in it, and then that becomes the argument. And instead of people talking about the brilliance of a film, the hard work that it took to make a film, the emotions that the film made you feel, you're too busy complaining about what they coulda, shoulda, woulda did, like you was in that boardroom and had to say. I used to always joke and say shit like, "Man, if you could have wrote a better script, you would have, and they would have used it."
Right. Why didn't you send it to them?
Yeah, but you couldn't because you didn't, and they didn't use it. So if you knew better, you would be hired up making six figures a year making movies.
Everyone could be a critic.
Yeah, man. Yeah, and criticisms are just mean opinions. That's you know what I'm saying. And an opinion is an asshole. Everybody got one, man. I don't have a problem with opinions. I don't. My issue isn't with opinions. My issue is when people treat their opinions like they're gospel, like their opinions that is the only opinion that matters. And is right. But I'm not going to get on that tangent. We're talking about the movie. So no. What I found the most beautiful about Namor's story was his actual origin.
Yeah.
Seeing the dichotomy of being being displaced by colonizers, the same way that Africans were displaced by colonizers. Seeing that their salvation came from the sky, and was given to them by what they assumed to be their gods. How Wakanda, it was Bass that led the first Black Panther to the Great Mound and showed him the heart shaped herb. And for them, they were their gods gave them a vision that led their warrior to a similar story. Uh, and then the heartbreak of realizing that your longevity, it's like his mother passes of old age and he's still a child. He's still but a child. And then he goes back to their homeland and to see it being ravaged by the same people who forced them out originally.
They're still thriving and still there doing the
Yeah.
same thing.
And
What's really interesting to me is that Wakanda and Tulkan, the city in Namor, where it's very similar. They're the same people. If you think about it, the same resource, vibranium. The asteroid was divided in two places, in the ocean and also in Wakanda, where you can see the very similarities. And I think that I love the screen, the portrayal of Namor, because he just wanted to love his people and protect his people, just like T'Challa wanted to protect his people. Everyone wanted.
I think
So
I think the wrong word which is being used for Namor is villain. I think that's a wrong word. I don't think he was a villain. And again, in my other video, I got to plug it. It was a rant, but I hold true to this belief that the villain of this movie, the villain of this movie, was the circumstances. It was the time crunch that they were on, and it was the circumstances they were in. Wakanda trying to fix one of their own dark pages in their past by stepping out of the shadow, stepping out of obscurity onto the main stage of the world. They unwittingly drew attention to another isolationist nation, one that was so isolationist nobody knew that they existed. And I felt Namor when he came up and he looked at her, he's like, what right did you have to share this secret with the rest of the world? Like, I got where he was coming from. I know a lot of people didn't, but I understood what he was saying. He's like, because you decided that you're going to share your knowledge of vibranium with the world and then decide that you're not going to give them any, now they're looking elsewhere for it. And now they're sniffing real close to my front door. And I got to protect my people. And, a lot of people are going to be like, well, Wakandans thought that, they were the only source of vibranium on the planet. Woo, 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 woo. I'm like,
that's a little.
here's my opinion on that. That is a very intelligent group of people. And they know how meteors work. And why would you think that only one meteor hit the planet? And then on top of that, I hate to say it, but I'm not Wakandan. I'm American. And in my country, we have this rule. Ignorance is not an excuse.
But in their case, I think it's a little arrogant because they were very advanced as a civilization and they thought they were the only place that had vibranium. I don't think they should have thought that.
I can't believe that when their technology hit a point, and it has, that they wouldn't have, hey, let's see if there's any vibranium anywhere else on the planet. I can't believe that they didn't do that. I can't believe that that's something they wouldn't have done. But I get it for the storytelling. I get for the storytelling. Okay, fine. It was a nation that no one knew about who was using vibranium in the same way that the Wakandans were using, and Tolakan is just super deep under the waters, and I can accept that. I absolutely can. It's a superhero movie. Suspend belief. I can do that for the story. I can do that for the story. Uh,
But it was really interesting how like Ironheart, like that girl that played, I think her name was Dominique Thorne.
hmm
She was able to create that vibranium like machine to locate it in the Earth. And why
in,
couldn't they do the same thing
the garage with a
in a
bunch of
garage?
straps. I
Yeah,
mean,
that was insane.
literally, Sherry even says as much. She's like, most of this shit just looks like random parts. And
Yeah,
the kid did it. Not she didn't do it for the government. She did it because her professor said she couldn't do it.
it was a challenge, and then they just sold up
Yeah.
her idea.
And a lot of people who aren't familiar with Riri are just like, oh, sure, this girl just, yes, bro. In the Marvel comics, Riri is in the top five of the smartest human beings on the planet. She reverse engineered Iron Man's suit from watching him fly around.
By herself. No help. She got the even the arc reactor going by herself. Like it took Tony a while, and she did it in a couple months. Actually, she said on and off in a couple of years. I think she made
Yeah,
those two.
yeah. And I don't know. I know a lot of people hated on both her Mach 1 and her Mach 2 suits. I was like, look, her Mach 1 was dope. It was absolutely something a teenager would make. You know, it looked like it looked like something from, you know what it reminded me of?
Which one?
It reminded me of the first one, the Mach 1. It
Yeah.
reminded me of the mech suit from Aliens too.
Yo.
When Ripley gets into the machine, it's like,
And grabs them. Yeah.
yeah, that it looked like a little version of that. I was like, absolutely. That's exactly what that's a kid's brain would come up with the material that she had. Absolutely, yeah, I buy that. And you're looking at it and you're like, this damn thing looks like it's gonna fall apart at any minute. And I love that. It's like, yeah, she's smart, but let's be real, she's working with some shit equipment. But but no, like and I want to get to Riri because her storyline and my boy Everett. I love Everett Ross. I love his character. He's our new Coulson.
Oh
He
yeah.
really is. I love Everett Ross, and I. With that being said, Everett Ross and Riri's storyline did not have to be in this movie.
Nah.
like
But it
that.
was nice. Nice touch.
Well, Everett very much so. Like they could have left his shit out. They really could have. We wouldn't have missed him. I'm glad he was in there because I like him. I like his character. Riri, she was the MacGuffin, man. She she was the point of the film. She made the world go around. Like Marvel needed to figure out a cool way to introduce this super smart kid. Hey, she built a damn machine that has pissed off the what would you call his people? The Atlanteans. How would you say it? Tolakarians? Tolakan?
Tanyans? Yeah, you can say that. Yeah.
She pissed off Namor's people. And
Yep.
now it was. I ain't gonna lie. I feel a little extreme. Like we're just gonna
Just
kill.
wanted to just
We're
kill
gonna
it
kill.
real quick.
Like that's a little like you don't think someone else can like reverse engineer what she did? Like
I'm pretty sure they already had the schematics in the CIA. Like they already
yeah,
had it.
and and a lot of that too. I feel like a lot of the and again, I get why they do what they do for the story. You got to tell a story, so you can't just bring common sense into a lot of this. But like to me, like when they got upset, when Namor got pissed, when Ramonda calls him to the beach, and that's when Nakia slips in, does the stealth shit, rescues
Oh yeah.
Riri and Shuri, and bounces. She does kill a bitch. That happens,
Two.
but yeah, you're right. She kills two more.
Yeah.
She kills two more. They gotta go, but she gets them out, and the anger on Namor's face from that, and I was like, okay, he's mad, but he came to them and said, "Go get the scientist. Once
Like
you retrieve the scientist, Blow into this horn, and then I will come, and we can go from there. He didn't even give them a chance. The moment they had the scientists, he tried to undercut them. He came in. He broke the rules of engagement first.
Yeah.
Nobody wants to say he did, but he did. He
Yeah.
broke the rules of engagement first. They was following everything that he asked them to do. They was doing it, and then right when they was home free. They would have headed to Wakanda. She'd have blown into the horn. They could have had a conversation, but no. He sent in his goons, which that's another thing I want to talk about. But he sends in his goons to try to undercut him, and I'm just like, see, at that point, I wouldn't trust a damn thing he did or said either. From looking at it from Queen Ramonda's point of view, I wouldn't trust him either. He's already lied.
He did lie. You know what? You're right. I didn't think about that because he shouldn't have approached him in that way and tell him like, "Hey, you go do this for me," instead of having a conversation and say, "This is why I'm pissed off, and I think we should take this seriously and stop the world, the surface world, in getting this vibranium, this resource that they want to mine so much." So if they would have worked together from the beginning, none of this would have ever happened. But I think it was his both arrogance from both countries and both leaders, you can say, because of Queen and also from Namor. They could have had a much easier conversation instead of just demanding
Oh
things.
yeah, oh yeah. And Ramonda was on pure emotion, like true talk. She was on pure absolute emotion, hands down. I know that. Like you just like, and of course she is. This woman has lost her husband. She has lost her son. You know what I'm saying? She has every nation on the planet staring down at her, threatening her without directly threatening her. She's got reach out facilities. These are reach out facilities. These are places of peace being attacked by mercenaries. The news said mercenaries, but we know they were acting under the guise of the French and the U.S. government.
Yeah.
Like, so I understand, like, this woman, she's like, I will not show any sign of weakness. One of my favorite scenes is when Namor takes that spear and is like, kick right in her face at that glass. And my sister didn't blink, she didn't wink, she didn't budge. She just stared at him like, what? Like, I was like, that is a leader. That, like, she shows strength in the times where most people would cringe and cower. But one thing I will say on that too is that, again, when we're talking about the villain, the true villain of this is the circumstances, and that is why I believe the Everett Ross stuff and the Riri Williams stuff is important. It has to be in a movie because this isn't an isolated incident. The moment in Black Panther, at the end of Black Panther, the moment T'Challa got up in front of the United Nations and told the truth about Wakanda, he put Wakanda on the world stage to the point where everyone is watching. All eyes are now on what was once thought to be this small little isolationist farming community. Now they know is the most advanced, technologically advanced place on the planet with the most powerful substance on the planet, and they got sole control over it. The whole world is paying attention. Yes, is this a situation that's kind of just between Tolakan and Wakanda? Yes,
Yeah.
but while they're beefing, everybody else is watching.
Yeah, they didn't do anything at
You
all.
know, everybody else is watching, and this beef is coming from the outside world reacting to Wakanda. That's
Right.
that's literally where this beef is coming from. It's coming from the fact that the outside world wants vibranium. Wakanda's being close to the vest with it. So what? And Ramonda even tells him, like, I hear that you guys are looking for vibranium elsewhere on the planet. Good luck with that. Like, she's not stupid. She knows they're looking for it.
Yeah, no, she knows already. It's not like she was oblivious this whole time. She knows the greed is already outreached so far from the surface
Uh,
that they
bro,
actually should start looking for you
what
actively.
she said to that French ambassador was the realest shit. When she's like, "Our concern is not the destructive nature of vibranium. Our concern is the destructive nature of you."
That was real. That's true.
That was real talk. That's always been my defense of guns. It's like I'm not concerned about the destructive nature of the gun. I'm concerned about the destructive nature of the son of a bitch holding the gun.
That's yeah, because it's the one holding the weapon, not the weapon itself.
And, yeah, you know what I'm saying. And that French bitch has just the smugness, just like yeah, though. And just to prove that point, here's your jackasses you tried to have come into my place and just take shit. When she
That
marched
was
in
cold.
there, boy, I was like, that was a power play, baby, and I love it.
That was super cold right there. Yeah,
That was her like, let's make no mistake of who y'all are dealing with.
and she didn't harm any of them. Like they're
No,
all intact. She
they
brought
didn't
them
have
to
a bruise or a bump or a nut.
hmm
They probably ate well the whole entire time they were there. Just
Probably.
just as a point.
They're taking care better than their own government, probably.
Oh yeah, man. You know, in a situation like that, their government was going to let them burn. Wakanda could
Not
have killed
if they
every
want.
one of them, and no, the governments wouldn't have done nothing about it because that was a straight black ops operation.
No.
And again, you saw the American spin, baby, because the media straight said mercenaries. So I was like, well, we don't know what no damn mercenaries.
Mercenaries.
Like,
Those are
what?
military soldiers. Like they're no mercenaries.
They were enlisted men and women. Stop it. Stop. But and I love that in the beginning. You see, they walk right into just the Dora Milaje. I love that just that opening scene when you see how destructively powerful Namor and his people are when they take out the facility that has the
The
vibranium
drill.
factor
Yeah,
and
you're right.
then right on the heels of that you get to see the efficiency and the accuracy of the Dora Milaje. It's just like these women aren't super soldiers, and they were sitting there deflecting bullets with the freaking. I'm
With their
like
spears and everything.
spears, man. I'm like they ain't even super soldiers. Like Walker said in Falcon Winter Soldiers. They're not even
Yeah.
super soldiers. They're not even super soldiers. And I got
Yeah.
it handed to me. I always, anytime I see the Dora Milaje, and if I'm being real, it's one particular Dora Milaje, and it's AO. I love her. Oh God, AO is just the AO was the very first Dora Milaje we ever saw.
Yeah.
She was in Winter Soldier. She was the one that told Black Widow, "Move or I will remove you."
She's
And,
cold.
and, and T'Challa was like, as much as I would love to see that. And I did like at the end when you found out that Anika and AO are a couple. That was cute.
Yeah. That was really nice.
I
I
actually, I was like, I knew it. In the theater, I was like, I
did.
knew it. Anika, I was, that actress, I can't, what's her name? It's killing me right now.
Veronica?
Yeah,
Michaela Coel.
yeah.
Yeah.
Jeez, impressed, dude. You know, these were small characters they didn't get the amount of shine that the rest of the cast did, but when they're in the film, they're in the film. They are present, and I love that.
They give them bits and pieces to their story in detail that I think it was really needed for them as
Yeah.
character development, right? Because I'm
Oh
pretty
yeah.
sure they're gonna bring them back later on.
Oh
And
yeah.
they'll see.
Absolutely. And Okoye, her journey, which again, if I'm being truthful, I felt like Okoye should have got fired a long time ago. I love Okoye. I love Okoye, but Queen Mother was right. Like everybody in that room stood against her family when Killmonger came in and did what they did, and they did it all with "We're loyal to the throne, not who sits on the throne." Even though they knew that Killmonger was a right bastard, they knew that he was not good for Wakanda. They knew he was the wrong choice, but because of their traditions,
Hmm.
they all sided against her family. And so I understood, like I understood where she was coming from. And even when old girl was like, well, Okoye stood against her own husband.
Yeah, but
Yeah, but that came after. It's like
yeah,
that came after, and like Ramonda said, and where's he now? Sitting in a cell where she can go see him anytime she wants.
hmm
She's like, I have lost everything.
and
Everyone I love is gone.
gone. And what's funny is that when I was watching that part, I was like, man, the queen is being a little bit harsh, on Okoye, and I was like pretty upset because Okoye was just trying to do the right thing, right?
He was.
She was just trying to be the bodyguard, and she did everything she
And she
could.
took responsibility. Then I'm
Yeah,
not faulting her for that. But if you look at it through Ramonda's eyes,
yeah,
and I was like, you kind of got to, man. Like to her, I feel her. To her, everybody in that room is a potential enemy because they all turned on her at one point in time before anyway.
they did, man. And that's where I was like, she kind of shut me up too. I was like saying, why would you do that to your own general? Why would you want to dismiss her and take her rank? But then when she said that what about me? I'm the one still sacrificing. Haven't I sacrificed enough? And I'm like, I'm just gonna stay quiet because you're right.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. And that was the thing is that, and that was what this movie was. It was about dealing with sacrifice, dealing with the pain of loss, learning to overcome that, learning to push past that to be better, which was Shuri's story straight up, was getting past that grief, that anger, that hatred, pushing past that to be better. Uh, but yeah, like Okoye's journey was, I liked it. A lot of people didn't like how they was kind of giving her a little bit more quirkiness, a little bit more comedy and stuff.
But I
And
think she needed it.
I liked it, and I could tell that she enjoyed having that. But like I felt like I felt Denai. That's her name, right? That's how you pronounce her name, Denai.
For Okoye?
Oh,
Denied,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, denied, yeah.
You could tell that she's so used to playing serious roles,
Mhm.
and you could tell that she, even though it was a serious role, I think she enjoyed the opportunity to be able to dabble in something a little more lighthearted. And for a film that is so heavy-handed in the feels, it was
Mhm.
nice to have those little levity moments.
Yeah.
And she wasn't the only one who got them. Uh,
Sure, yeah,
uh,
a lot of them.
Shuri had a lot of great quips and stuff. I loved it when she goes, "My favorite colonizer." It was like everybody knew immediately that she was talking about Everett.
Yeah. Well, I
uh,
think I think the funny thing where Okoye, where she's like, "Is this the right shade?" And then Riri
yeah,
just calls it out right away.
and she like this Shuri like, "Bitch, you told me." She's like, "Girl, you look good. Don't listen to her." My girl's just like, "God damn it."
Yeah, man. No, I
Um,
really like that. The whole
I
comedy, I
did.
think, its lightness because there was a lot of loss. There was
Yeah,
a lot of
it
like
was very
sadness.
heavy, man. It was heavy. We needed those moments of levity. You needed them. Speaking of fighting forces, let's talk about Namor's fighting force. Let's talk about his two generals that I didn't realize who they were until 30, 40 minutes after I saw them because I didn't recognize them. Because
Yeah.
you want to talk about two characters that are so far removed from their comic book counterparts visually, just
Hmm.
visually, is Atuma and Namora.
And Namora.
Namora the big one for me. Namora is the big one for me because Namora is a clone of Namor. She looks like
Yeah,
Namor.
yeah,
She's not blue. She's not. She's not an Atlantean or Tolkien in that sense. Uh, and I know they've retconned her character quite a few times in Marvel. At one point in time, I think they made her a sister at one point in time. But all I know is that she's not blue. Like my
yeah. No,
outside of
interesting.
the wings on her feet, not having the wings on her feet, she's basically just a female version of Namor.
But you know what's weird is that Tuma also he wasn't blue underwater, but when he was
No,
out of water,
nobody was. Nobody was.
oh right,
No, that was the thing. I don't know if you
oh
noticed that. That was the thing. And if you notice when they first started changing, when they were out of the water, they were immediately turning blue. But the moment they got in the water, the parts of them that was in the water started to turn back to their original skin color. So
yeah,
I like that. I like that idea that okay, so we're getting to see them in their natural habitat. They still look the way they normally look, and I would have been okay with that if they would have let me see Namora underwater. But
yeah.
every time we saw her, she was above water with the mask on blue.
If I think there was one scene when Namor was sitting on the throne and he was actually calling his people and telling them about war
Okay,
starting.
yeah.
That was the
Akuma was
only
on
scene.
one side and she was on the other. Yeah, that's right. That's right. But it wasn't like you got to see a good.
Nah, it was just an approach and that's it. And then they switched the pan to Namor. Yeah,
Now,
this,
even though he didn't get a lot of voice time or whatever, acting time, Atuma did act a very much brutish like the Atuma from the comics. He is a tactician. He is a very militaristic, intelligent individual. So I understood why he was a general. I understood why Namora was a general. She's extremely powerful. Uh, I just hated that the movie almost kind of relegated them to henchmen.
yeah, kind of to
They
the
felt
side.
more like they felt more like goons. Like
Yeah,
I was waiting for one of them to get killed. I was like, they're gonna end up killing one of these people, but no. I was impressed at Marvel's restraint when it came to the killing of main Marvel characters. It's like uh,
wait, didn't Atuma and Denai or Okoye fight? He
oh yeah,
didn't die.
dude, they don't die like that. Remember,
Yeah,
she took out three just regular Atlantean warriors, and the motherfuckers healed and got up.
that's true. You're right. And then Namora got blasted by Ironheart, and then she just fell in the water.
Yeah,
That's it.
and that's it. And I think the water is really kind of the source too of their strength and their power, just like with Namor, which was an incredible review. I liked that. Like it's not like that in the comic books. Doesn't matter to me. I like again. You are taking something. The MCU is supposed to be more grounded, more real worldish. So it's grounded. I like that. I didn't have a problem with that. I thought that was brilliantly done.
I think that was pretty cool for him to be actually the ocean was the source of his power. Water is actually what gives him strength because by the method of his skin, which is called diffusion, as even they discovered
Yeah,
it, that's how he absorbs and that's how he can breathe in both air and water at the same time. That's pretty cool.
that was dope. That was real dope.
But what do you think? Do you think Namor was wrong to like hate the surface right away?
No,
Uh,
because again, I feel like you have to look at things from perspective. You know what I'm saying? I can look at it from my perspective, but like, yeah, he's overreacting. But if I look at it from his perspective, he ain't know nothing but bad shit when it came to the surface. The surface world is the reason why his people had to go below. The surface world is the reason why his people can no longer bask in the sunlight. He had to create the sun for his people. You know, and then when he goes to bury his mother, he sees more of he sees people who are ancestors of his people still being
slave
mistreated
and
and
mistreated.
enslaved and beaten.
Yeah.
And then when he frees them, their oppressors call him the demon, call him the devil.
Yeah, that was yeah. You know what? You're right. I
Like
think just again greed and circumstances is what caused everything to all
like
spiral and out of control.
that's the real villain of this. I don't like calling Namor the villain. He was not the villain of this. The villain of this was the circumstances behind. And anyone who says circumstances can't be a villain in a story is wrong. You're absolutely wrong. Circumstances can absolutely be a villain. What do you think movies like Armageddon, Deep Impact?
Yeah,
Those are circumstances. The circumstances of a fucking meteor about to blast the earth. That's the bad guy. That's the villain. That's the call to arms that everybody's got to fight against. Namor even says it at the end of the film when Namor's like, "I can't believe you took a knee." He's like, "No, girl." He goes, "Look." She's like, "She had every right to kill me, and she chose not to." And it wasn't out of altruism. You know, she's alone. Wakanda's they have no allies, but they are now sensitive to our plight. Wakanda is now sensitive to us and our cause, and they are now our allies. And the surface will come for Wakanda,
and they'll need their help.
and they will come to us. You like trust me, like then I was like, there's the comic book Namor. I was like, there he is. I was like, there's that conniving motherfucker. I was like, there it is. He's not an idiot. He's a ruler, man. It's a long game. When you are the ruler of any nation, it's a long game. President, king, queen, emperor, czar, it don't matter. When you are dealing with these kind of big world events, it's a long game. He knew what he was doing. He was like, okay.
And
I don't think there's any super nefariousness behind it. I just think he's like he's gonna play the card of it's just me and you against the world, like Pac said. It's just me and you against the world. And he's gonna show them that. I think that's his thing. He's like, I'm just gonna let them see that I was right.
yeah, and it'll just be nothing but time because if you think about it too, Namor's been along for a long time. It's been decades or even centuries where he's been around. So he's not dumb and he's been there and he knows what greed and the surface have done in the past.
Oh yeah.
So as he
And the
said,
United,
we're gonna come for them.
oh yeah, and the United States already showed their hand because we don't. Because first off, when we attack people, we don't do it straight on. That's not what we do. What my man said, destabilization. That's what they that's what we like to do. We like to go in and just fuck shit up from the inside. No, that is how we beat countries now. It's shady as fuck, but it's what they do, especially with nations that are potentially more powerful than we are. The problem with that is if the U.S. thinks that Wakanda don't have war dogs embedded in every facet of their government, dude, Hydra's still running fucking the government, bro. Let's talk about that. Let's talk about the fact that Everett Ross's boss is fucking
Yeah.
Val.
Isn't it his ex-wife?
Yeah. But you do realize in the comic books that's Val, man. That's Valentina. That's Madam Hydra. That's who she is, bro.
No wonder. She's
Yeah, bro. Yeah, bro. I was like, Hydra, you cut off one head, another fucking grows. You can't get rid of the motherfuckers. They like a New York cockroach.
Man,
Like
okay.
you know, they talked about freaking Agent 13. You know, being showing how she was corrupted and shit. Nah, man, they put Madam Hydra in charge of the fucking FBI, man.
Okay, so now that makes a little bit more sense because when she went to go, take him in handcuffs, she said, "I can't wait." Once they obtain that vibranium.
Yeah, she's like, I dream of it. And he's like, See, like, do you ever think of what would happen if America was the only ones with vibranium? She goes, I dream of that day.
That's scary, man.
Yeah, bro. I'm like, our government's already been fucking hacked, and they don't even know it. We already in bed with the enemy.
Yeah, they already have so many sleepers in the government already. It's not even funny.
Yeah, and that it tracks. That's it. 616 same way. You know, Hydra is one of those organizations. They're right up there with Leviathan and they're right up there with AIM. You're never going to completely get rid of them. There's always going to be some cell somewhere, somebody sensitive to that cause. Because especially with Hydra, because unlike AIM and Leviathan, most Hydra agents are indoctrinated from birth. Like they're raised with these beliefs, and those are the most dangerous operatives, man. The believers are the most dangerous operatives because
Yeah.
they can't be reasoned with, they can't be talked down, and that in itself is scary as well.
Yeah, man. I'm really interested to see what they're gonna do with the next chapter of Wakanda, and what's gonna happen with also Tulukan. Yeah, Tulukan.
Okay.
I really am interested to see because I don't know what they're gonna do now that Shuri is Black Panther. I don't know what's gonna happen if they're gonna bring back Riri and how she's gonna fit in all this.
Well, this was just an introduction to her TV show.
Wait, what?
Yeah, this is her being in this was she's getting her own show. It comes out next year. They're already in production of it.
I don't know that. Okay,
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
cool.
So she'll be getting her own show, and trust me, we're probably going to see characters like Okoye and Io and Anika. We're probably going to see Everett Ross because he's on the run. So that's going to be definitely followed up. Yeah. Another thing too before we wrap up is that I wanted to talk about a little bit was the cultural overlap that I think a lot of people missed. That final scene with Namor. And they kept going back to it when he was talking to Shuri in the cave when they were sitting down. And he kept looking, and they kept showing it flashes, but you don't get to see it real good to the end. And that is a Meso American picture of a panther
And the Kukulkan guy.
and the Kokukan.
Yeah.
And I was like, are they embracing
Or are they still fighting?
or are they fighting? You couldn't tell from the look.
Was he painting that? Or was
No, that was there. It was
it was
old.
there?
It was old.
Okay. I don't know. That's interesting. Maybe he knows what's gonna happen, and he knows that he's playing again another piece on the chessboard, where he's just waiting. He now is gonna play the part as the ally, and once they realize that the surface is a real enemy for Wakanda, maybe he's gonna destabilize them afterwards and take over.
I mean, it's possible, man. I mean, in the comic books, he fucking destroys Wakanda.
All right. So
He also had the power of the Phoenix too. So I mean,
okay. I mean that helped.
uh, but no, the ending of the movie I felt like was extremely well done. Shuri taking on the mantle of Black Panther. That was the whole point to me of the movie. Watching her journey, seeing her go from past being reluctant
Yeah.
to just vengeance.
And also embracing the tradition. She
Yeah,
wasn't a believer.
was it? She was, and which I love too when she finally drinks. Well, I mean, let's talk about that real quick. How she fixes the heart shape. I call that shit. I
That she's
called
gonna bring it
it,
back.
bro. No, okay, so we're in the theaters, we're watching it. It was the first time I watched it on Thursday. I look over at my dude. I'm like, bro. I'm like, the moment Namor put his mom's uh
Bracelet.
bracelet on her and was like, it's made from the strands of the original plant that gave our people their strength. I was like, that's what she's gonna use to bring back the heart shaper. That right there, I was like, there it is. Like, there it is. There it is. There it is. There it is. There's a sequence missing in the DNA, and he gave it to her. There it is. I was like, my brain immediately just latched onto that. And then when she takes it off and she's looking at it and shit, and after her mom dies, and that, yeah, that shit. That was the point where I was like, fucking Namor, god damn it, bro.
He didn't have to do that, man.
Because we talked about it earlier when he threw that spear and my girl just she didn't budge or flinch. She was like, "Oh, you don't flinch?
Goes back.
I'll be right back." She was go back. I'm like, "Oh!"
That was
And
really good.
he looked at her cold as he's like, "You're the queen now." He's like, mourn. He's like, bury your dead, mourn your losses. I'll be back in a week. I was like, are y'all happy now? That's the Namor y'all be talking about from the comic books that you wanted. Are you happy now? Because
He's right there.
he just reared his ugly head. Uh, but
And
like, go ahead.
sorry, real quick, also shifting a little bit from what Shuri did, and she brought back the heart plant. Why? And maybe you can answer this because I really didn't understand this part. Was why Killmonger appeared and not
Okay, so
any
when
of the
she
other Black Panthers?
when she gets in the heart shaped herb and she goes to the ancestral plane,
Mhm.
your heart calls out to the ancestor that you need to speak to in that moment. And Shuri was so filled with rage and vengeance. The only ancestor that her heart could connect to was Killmonger.
Okay, that makes a lot more sense now for me.
And just to show you too, she didn't call him Eric. She didn't call him Killmonger. She used his Wakandan name,
That's true. Yeah, she did.
which is a recognition of you are my kin. Regardless of how she felt about it, subconsciously,
You stole my family.
you're still my family. And that's basically what he told her. He's like, you and me are more alike than you think.
Hmm.
I mean, remember what she told her mom when they was going to be burning the rose. She's like, I can't burn the rose. She goes, if I sit and think about my brother too long, I don't want to burn my rose. I want to burn the entire world and everyone in it.
That's true.
Like she was so filled with rage, underlying rage through the whole film. She just kept it bottled up. And then with the death of Ramonda, which is why they killed her. I know that's why they killed her. I get why they did it. That was the tipping point for Shuri.
That I will
And,
say that
and you know when M'Baku is the voice of reason,
mhm.
it has
That's
gone too far.
yeah. It was kind of interesting to see him be the voice of reason at that point. 'Cause he was all about war and all about just
I
attacking
mean, but what he said was real too. He's like, this man is like, he's like, they do not call. He says they do not. His people, they do not call him king. They do not call him. They do not call him emperor. They call him Kukulkan, the winged serpent god.
Yep.
He's like, if you kill this man, it you risk eternal war because his people will never stop. And I understood Shuri because she was like, does my mother not warrant eternal war? He's like, yes, she does. But I know that is not what your mother would want for you and her people. He's like, it's damn sure not what I want. Like, when you, again, when M'Baku is the voice of reason and is making more sense than you are, you gotta stop and listen, mommy. You gotta you need to take a breath. You need to take a breath, take a beat. But she wasn't having it, and the shame that she had for seeing Killmonger, because she refused to tell anybody who it
Didn't know.
was. She didn't tell nobody.
Man.
And because at the end of the day, she was ashamed that that's who came to her. But you saw what happened at the end. What happened at the end when it came to that point when she had that decision to make. Am I my brother? Am I my cousin? Am I my grandfather? Am I my mother? Who am I? Who is Shuri? She had those flashes and she saw the people of Tolakan, and she saw the people of Wakanda, and she saw the similarities. She saw how they were the same. And then her mother comes to her from the ancestral plane. It's so beautiful. The ancestral plane behind her mother, and she sees her. And she says, Shuri, show him who you are.
That was pretty touching. I think that was a really nice touch.
I love that because Killmonger was like, oh no, you're like me. You're not like your brother. You're like me.
Mm.
And her, you're not like your mother. You're not like your grandfather. You're like me. And her mother was like, no, you're not any of us. Show him who you are. And that was just this reverence in a moment of stay your hand. You are better than this. Sam Wilson, Falcon,
Right.
aka Captain America.
Yeah.
He said it the best when he said, my only superpower is that I believe we can be better. And that was Shuri in this. That was her being better. That was her getting past the rage, past the anger, past the hurt.
To be a better person.
To be a better person, a better Black Panther, a better Queen.
Yeah.
To find the peaceful solution. She had been fighting for it the entire movie, but had this moment, this existential crisis hit, the loss of the last person, like you said, the last person that truly knew her, that knew her heart. Losing that's enough to tip anybody over. And Baku even said it. Like, he's like, when she was like, when she mocked him, from the first movie, when he called, a child that scoffs at tradition, and he's like, you have lost way too much to be called a child. And that's like, I think, a lot of people was a little irritated that he didn't get a more shine time, and that when he was on screen, he was this stoic kind of almost mentor, if not counsel, in which is he even said, he's like, I promised your brother that I'd look out for you and that I would give you counsel.
Yeah.
And I think they did that because they knew that the motherfucker was going to make a shot for the throne at the end of the movie. and it made you okay with it. Like, because you think back on how he acted through the whole flick, and it's like, they can do worse.
They can do
real worse than M'Baku in the leadership. And it'll work. He can be king, and she can be the protector. She can be Black Panther, and the rejuvenation of the heart-shaped herb. And that getting back to a state of status quo, but the beautiful understanding that they can't go back to the status quo. Like, things are different now. They aren't this isolationist country anymore.
The world knows. They know that they exist, and that's where they have to always be on guard. Always be protecting themselves from any threats outside. And it's funny, just backtrack a little bit. Yeah, and within too. You're right, because there's always this imbalance, like you said, the destabilization
Yeah.
from all the leaders, because Ramunda's no longer queen.
No.
Princess Shuri doesn't want to be queen because at that moment where they said Princess Shuri and M'Baku comes down to the ship and he goes for the throne.
And she, I promise you, with her blessing.
Yeah, no, of course.
Because he straight even told, he's like, she wanted to inform you that she would not be here. She had other things to do.
Yeah.
And I was just like, of course she did. This was the kid that was like, can we wrap this up? But I loved her story arc. I would love watching her go through all this pain. I mean, I hated it, but I loved it. You know what I'm saying? Just this, it showed you that Letitia Wright is a hell of an actress, despite all the nonsense that happened behind the scenes with her and all that stuff. You know, when it came time to perform, the sister performed, man.
She did a really good job, man.
She performed, and she was asked to do something hard. She was asked to carry a film that she was never supposed to carry. You know, before we tap out of this, I need to say this, and that is for all those people who are hating on this movie, understand the trials that this movie went to even be made. It was at the beginning of pre-production, their star dies suddenly, which forces them to go back to the drawing board and start rewrites. Not months after that, the country gets wrecked with COVID, and all these stipulations get thrown out there. You know, so production gets halted because of that. And they were only 6 months behind release date.
Really? 6 months?
That's it.
Wow.
They were only 6 months behind release date. And to put out which I have been calling a masterpiece in film, to put this out the way they put it out, I mean, show some freaking respect for directors and a cast. Like, we all talk about, you know, how hurt we were when Chadwick died, but we're just fans, man. We didn't know him. We're talking about a cast and a director that had a personal relationship with this man, had ate and shared bread with their families. You know what I'm saying? Like, these people were family.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And they had to work under the fact that they lost a brother, they lost a friend, and they had to make a film that was completely surrounding him, and now they had to do it in a way that honored him.
And they did. Once we get to that part, but they did.
Oh, and that was, I wanted to say that because I wanted to get to that part. You know, at the end of the movie, the post-credit scene, the end of the movie is good. With Everett getting sprung, I was like, God damn it, they better spring Everett. I was like, they can't let my dude rot like that. But getting Ross and the conversation that Namor had with Namora, like, all that was great. The ending of the movie was nice, but that post-credit scene when she finally goes to Haiti and she sees Nakia, and when I saw the pyre, I was like, okay, excuse me, this is her I gotta move on moment. Okay, I get this. Okay, let's do this. I was down for that. I was like, yes, she's finally gonna. But I was surprised that it was only one set of funeral guards. I thought there'd be two. One for T'Challa and one for Ramonda.
Yeah, her mother.
Yeah, but then I was like, she probably just wore the same exact one. But I was like, but oh no, rich people. We wore it once. But when Lupita comes around with this little boy, and I'm like,
yeah. I was so stoked for that.
I was like, look, you think I'm just doing this? No, this was me in the theater. I'm looking over at my roommate, looking over at my homie. I'm like, I just grabbed over and like, this ain't Renee about to do this. They about to do this. And she says, this is my son. I had the same look that she like, and then she goes, this is your Auntie Shuri.
Yeah, man, that was so good. Just
And
seeing. Uh, Go ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
and it comes back around full circle to the message of the first movie. The message of the first movie, which was the greatest message in the world, which is Mubandi. Oh, sorry, Undabani, which is Wakandan, was this is that's a I can't. There's an actual dialect name for it. I can't think of it. It's African. Which is who are you? What's your name? Who are you? And that it came full circle, came back to that. It came back to that. And that kid, first off, where they find this child that looked like a little young Chadwick Boseman, even down to the smirk and the little thing on the lip, was just like, I was- but when she said, "Who are you?" and this wasn't a little kid who was like, "I'm do 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 do." No, he says it with authority. I am Prince T'Challa, son of King T'Challa. I was like, Marvel, Marvel. I was like, man, I was in tears of joy and just was like, this is how you do it. There you go. There you go. Hashtag recast T'Challa. There you go. There you go. I was like, that was the most tasteful and beautiful thing. And it explains why Nakia was not present, why she was gone.
Yeah. Because truly, we all thought that she
Plus,
just escaped and left.
plus it makes me understand that really bad cutscene
Which one?
when Ramonda goes to Haiti to talk to Nakia about going to get Shuri, and Nakia goes, "There's something I need to tell you," and then it just cuts to a
Okay.
completely different scene, tones completely different. It was a little. It was like it was. There's two or three moments that happens in this movie where it's just a bad cutscene. It's jarring. It was just like, okay, I guess we're not supposed to know what the fuck you're gonna tell her. And so when Shuri was like, did my mother get to meet him? And she goes, yes, she did. I was like,
That
that
makes sense.
that was that moment. I was like, that was that moment then. Because when I went to see it the second time, I put that together. I was like, okay, that's the moment she probably introduces him to the young prince. I was like, okay, all right. And giving the kid a Haiti name and allowing him to have a childhood outside of the pressures of being the king, the future king, the crown prince. I got that. I understood why T'Challa would want that for his son.
Mhm.
Especially considering the one thing from the histories that we didn't get in the comic books that that happened in the comic books that we didn't get in the movie was that in the comic books, T'Challa in a lot of ways was kind of an outsider to his own people because his father sent him out of Wakanda, had him educated in like he went to MIT, he went to Harvard, like he was educated in Europe
Outside.
in the United States and was raised outside of the Wakandan culture from high school through college. And when he came home in the comic books, when he came home, there was this kind of little bit of a disconnect because he come home because his father's killed, and there's this instant disconnect, because yes, he's Wakandan, but because he has spent so much time with the outsiders in the outside world, they play down that a bit, in the movie that they never really say that's what happened with T'Challa, but this
I never
T'Challa,
know.
this T'Challa is definitely getting that kind of background. So I can see in this kid is at least 6 7 years old
Mhm.
because it's been at least 6 7 years since the events of Endgame. So then you think another 3 4 years would be 10 11. We got the Young Avengers coming up, and the Young Avengers right now we've got an age range from got Kate Bishop who's like 21. You got Riri who's 19. You've got Camilla Khan who's 16. You got Isaiah Bradley who I'm gonna say he's 16. And a lot of people are trying to say he was like 13 or 14 in Falcon Winter Soldier. I'm like, no, that boy is at least 16. He's at least 15, 16 years old. I'm like, I get it. It's hard to gauge black people. I understand that. I get it. But that boy is at least 14, 15 years old, 16 at the most. So I can definitely see him in the next 10 years or so. Or maybe they do a time jump, and have him as a teenager come in to the game. But I am oh shit, sorry. I am absolutely looking forward to the Phase 5. This was a beautiful cap on Phase 4. I'm looking forward to Quantumania. Uh, I have a feeling we're going to end up seeing a yoked Kang the Conqueror. Because
Yo.
Jesus Christ, man, that boy is massive in Creed 3.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think I honestly truly believe that that Phase 5 is gonna be super tight, super interesting. I am looking mad forward to it, and just the naysayers. I don't. It's like I said in my rant. Go ahead.
I I guess my little rant would be, I just can't believe seeing for the first time in a long time, like a superhero movie that has these two different types of casts that are just so different in culture, but very similar actually, if you think about it in culture. And it just didn't get the love that we expected. It didn't get it that much. And there's just so much hate. I didn't understand that.
Yeah, like you told me when you went to go to the theaters, it was kind of an empty theater. Thursdays is never. I never look at Thursdays to ever to be a full. And I went during the matinee. I went at 3 in the afternoon, which was on purpose. Like we wanted to go and see it when there wasn't a big crowd, so we could enjoy it and hear what was being said without people jeering, cheering, and jeering in the background. And so I that was kind of on purpose. And then when I went by myself Friday night, it was a much more packed event, and even then, it wasn't like it wasn't like Infinity War Endgame. It was because of the tone of the film. It was very solemn. You could hear people, like gasping. And there's a lot of upset folks when Ramonda dies. Again, I don't think anyone saw that coming. I was like, I was angry. I was like, bro. I was like, it was in that moment. I was like, I could have forgiven Namor for 99.99% of everything that he had done up to that point. Not just like that was uncalled for. But
She
it's
sacrificed her life for
Namor.
that.
It's Namor, and like, yeah, and truthfully, Namor really didn't kill her. She died saving Riri. So like she died being a hero, and I love that they gave that to like that she wasn't just a victim. You know, she wasn't just collateral damage. She died being a protector, being a queen. You know,
A warrior.
yeah.
She went up a champ, man.
Speaking of which, like shit, Angela Basketball, my girl had some guns. There was some. She was in some Garrett times where it was like, shit. You do not want to get punched by Angela Bassett. It will hurt. It's like 60 plus or not, it gonna hurt. Like my girl is like, whoa, like shit. But all them women, boy, all of them just was like, yep, okay, I'm not messing with nothing. Y'all.
No.
To, I do have to ask you this one question though.
What's up?
So so when Black Panther first came out, the very
Yeah.
first, you know what you saw a lot from black folks when that shit first came out. You know what you saw. Yeah, but this are we gonna be seeing a lot of this in the Latino community now? We're gonna be getting a lot of that in the Latino community. We're gonna be getting it. I wanna go out in public, see some of my Latino brothers and be like,
To be honest, it was really nice just to see that culture was thriving, and I think it's a really good movie to start. And I don't think that we're gonna see the last of Namor, man. I really hope so that he stays for a while.
oh
In this
yeah.
next phase. I really do.
I can't wait for them to introduce the Fantastic Four and Sue Storm. You know that's gonna be a thing.
Hmm.
That little love triangle. I'm down for that. I'm all about it. Well, yeah, that was like the one question I was like, I'm gonna ask you. I was like, I gotta ask you that question. Cause we were proud with it, boy. After Black Panther came out, we was like, we would see. I remember when like a week after I saw Black Panther, I was in Arrowhead, and you just walking, and this brother walks by me. He goes, and I'm like, it was just a nut moment. And it didn't happen too many times after that, but I just remember after that movie came out, it was so visceral for black people, like to have seen a film like that made and like have such the impact. So the moment I realized that this was a thing, I was like, oh shit, we're gonna be seeing this is gonna be everywhere. This is gonna be everywhere, and I'm here for it. I'm about it. But I love this film. I love the Ryan Coogler and his ability to show culture. And he actually even said one of his favorite movies growing up was that Atlantis animation, the Lost City, Atlantis, the Lost City,
Yeah.
which takes a lot from Meso American culture and that Disney animation. So people got to get past, like, it's been done before. That right there shows you that they've done that before. So like I don't know. I can't get past these haters, man. It angers me. It upsets me that something this beautiful has to get trouted on by these Luddites that think they know better when they don't.
Nah, man. I honestly think this movie was, I would say, one of my favorite ones of this year. And there's not a lot of movies that I can say that I really favorited, especially a superhero movie.
Oh yeah.
It wasn't so much of a superhero movie. It was just a culture movie.
Yeah,
For me.
and for me too, it was a movie of culture. It was a movie of watching two cultures come together through trying differences and seeing the similarities through the differences. But more importantly for me, I feel like this was a master class in dealing with grief
Yeah.
and pain and moving on from the grief and moving on from that pain in the most healthy and constructive way that you can, given the tools that are laid in front of you. Like, again, I keep coming back to Shuri, but that's where a lot of that comes for me. You see it in so many other characters. You get to see how Ramonda deals with it. You get to see how Okoye deals with it. You get to see how everyone deals with it, but no more so than, like I said, Shuri. And like you listen to her conversations that she's having, and you see her actions, and you realize for as much hurt and pain, there is so much anger.
Yeah.
and most of her anger is internalized. Like because when she tells Namor, I was given all this intelligence, I was given all these skills, and the ancestors gave me all these gifts, and I couldn't use those gifts to save my brother. What's the point of having? Like you got to see that her anger was so more internalized. She wasn't angry at the disease that took her brother's life. She wasn't. She was angry at the fact that she couldn't save her brother's life, and that's the hardest. As someone who has lost a sibling, it's something that you shouldn't do. Is internalizing that pain, blaming yourself, but especially when you're the older sibling. She's the younger sibling, but I understand where she's coming from because of her intelligence. It put her in a position to where she could try to do something to help her brother, but especially being the older sibling like I was, losing a sibling, it affects you in a way that you can't. I say it probably affects anyone who loses anyone super close to them, like you, because you immediately start going through your head, what could I've done? And for me, it was, she was 2,000 miles away. I was like, if I would have been there, you know, truth is, there's nothing. I'm not a doctor. There's nothing I could have done to save my sister, but I couldn't help but feel like if I was there, it would have been different. And it took me, so my sister's been gone 8 years. It took me probably 5 of those 8 to get past those thoughts and to be able to move on. It's not something you get over overnight. And just watching in that, because they show you like the movie literally takes place a year after his death, and she's still reeling, and she still has that energy. Like she told her mom, she would just burn the world. You can't expect someone to get over it that quickly. But in her position, she realized she had to. She by necessity she had no choice but to rise above it. And that's what we want from our heroes. The thing we expect of our heroes is not to be us. The thing we expect of our heroes is for them to do what we can't do, and that's rise above, rise to the occasion, and be better. And it's okay for us not to be better. It's okay for us to wallow. It's okay for us to take longer in the healing process. It's okay for us to feel the way we feel, because we know that there are people out there who will rise to the occasion and will step up and will do what's right and protect those of us who can't, who can compartmentalize their pain long enough to protect us. It's what our soldiers do every day across seas in every country. You know, and that's what we want from our heroes, and what we want from our superheroes. And I feel like that Letitia Wright gave us that this year.
She did. I couldn't have done better, man. Like just how you laid it out right then and there. It's true. We all have someone that we idolize, someone we see as a hero and as an example, because we are not the hero. We want to be the hero, but we have to realize that we have to be better and choosing. It's all about choices.
Yeah.
At the end of the day. That's true, man.
No, no, I feel you. I feel you. I feel you. It's and like it's one of the films that you can't help but to get emotional talking about it. You can't, you really can't help but to. But we are running long. We are at an hour and 20 minutes,
Oh,
and
dude, we gotta do podcasts.
and I gotta edit. But this was super awesome. We got to do this again. But I thank you for coming on to my retro prospective. And man, I like the feedback. I like hearing, because you always feel a certain way about something, but it's nice to hear what other people got to say. And I was so happy that you were able to do this, because I'm not Latino, and I wanted to get a perspective from someone who could appreciate the culture in a way that I appreciate the Wakandan culture and the African culture.
I really appreciate it, man. Thank you so much for having me on the channel. And to be honest, if you haven't said this already, please drop a like, leave a comment, subscribe if you haven't subscribed, because this is really good content. You won't get it anywhere else, guys.
I appreciate that, man. Is there anywhere people can reach you? Uh,
Uh, Honestly, not at the moment. Well, I used to be, I guess, a streamer in Twitch before, but if you could find me, it's Lace Space John, also known as the Lace Squad. Hit me up anytime. But yeah, I'll be more than happy to come back on and have a chat.
I appreciate you, bro. This is Retro Road. We are signing off here. Remember, it is the age of the geek. We rule the world. Wakanda forever. Peace.